Okay, great. We are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another session of KWARABUILD. Today, I have with me Chika Nwobi. Chika Nwobi is the founder and CEO of Decagon, where brilliant young Nigerians are equipped to design and deliver world-class software products that deliver valuable outcomes. Before Decagon, Chika has been involved in incubating over 20 startups, including Baby Bliss, Nigeria's top omni-channel platform for mom and baby, Jobberman, Nigeria's largest online job board, and Checky, Africa's largest online cars marketplace. Chika was the founder of MTech, where he launched Nigeria's first mobile internet service with MTN in 2001 and helped pioneer the mobile VAS industry. Chika has also led consulting engagements for Ford Foundation and IFC. Chika is also the venture partner in Rise Capital, an emerging market focused venture capital firm. Chika has a BA in economics and a BSc in computer science and is in the MSc software engineering program at University of Oxford. He also completed the Stanford University Seed Transformation Program. Chika is passionate about education and developing young people and has spoken at Watson, NYU, and Lagos Business School. He has served as judge and mentor for entrepreneurship programs of the Federal Government of Nigeria and the World Bank XL Startup Program. He's also on the board of Unilever Nigeria PLC and Anambra State Investment Promotion and Protection Agency. That is so amazing. Hi, Chika. Nice to meet you today.
Nice to be here, Sadiq.
Yeah, so today, Chika will be talking to us about conquer yourself. It's from a Latin phrase, vincit qui ze vincit, which translates to conquer yourself. So I'll just leave the floor to Chika and allow him perform his magic once again.
Well, I don't know about magic, Sadiq, but thanks for having me. So I'm going to use some slides, if that's okay. And my understanding is that I have about 20 minutes, or how long do I have?
You have about 20 minutes, 25 minutes then, about 5 to 10 minutes for questions.
Okay. Okay, so thanks for the introduction. I think the topic, conquer yourself, I think it's, that's interesting. That's very interesting. And I thought there'll be, feedback, and I wanted to get people to answer this question for me of who is greater between the person on the left, the lady in black, or the lady with black hair and the lady with blonde hair. And usually when I ask this question, most people don't even know the lady with black hair. Everybody knows the lady with blonde hair. Most people don't know the lady with black hair. Even in Nigeria, although this is KWARABUILD, these are tech people, so many of you would know the lady with black hair. The lady with black hair is the founder of the blood bank startup. I can't remember what it's called, but her name is Mrs. Giwa Bossum Timmy, and she has a startup that, and I'll come back to that. And then I asked this question, and because I'm the one on the line, people then know the person on the right, otherwise they may not have, and people then know the guy with the suit, otherwise they may not have known him. But I asked the same question, who is greater, the guy or the black guy? And you know, it's usually funny, people laugh, right? Because I think the question, it brings a lot of questions. And when you talk about conquering yourself in order to become the next builder, great builders, and to end up doing something great, the question of conquering yourself comes up. And then the question of what does greatness mean and what does it mean to be successful, which it's where we're trying to get to when we talk about the whole idea of conquering yourself and self-discipline and so on. And so I just asked this question to provoke the thought about how does, two things. One is, how does the world measure greatness? How do we measure greatness as individuals? And what is the main measure of greatness, right? So Temi is the founder of Life Bank, and this is Beyonce. And, during this COVID season, COVID and Black Lives Matter, when the world was, a lot of things have been changing in the world. Temi, swung into action with Life Bank, and her startup does, it's a blood bank. So they help hospitals in Nigeria to have like blood, so that people who need blood in hospital can get blood delivered. Really fixing a very big problem. And when COVID came, I don't know her, I've never met her. She and I are not like very close buddies. So this is all from me reading about her and following her story. I saw she really swung into action at great risk to her life and herself, and helped to support the healthcare industry in Nigeria with supplies, PPE, and all the other supplies that they needed in order to be able to navigate COVID. So I compute that she has helped save lives, many lives in Nigeria. Beyonce, during the whole Black Lives Matter, she just released a song, an album, Black is King, which was, I guess is related to Black Lives Matter. And, she gave a lot of people hope and meaning, and she tapped into a lot of things. And I think, we would, first of all, like what Temi did is tech. She's built a company, she's saving lives. I would ordinarily, and most of you are here nerds and techie people, and most of you would consider what Temi did to be greater. Maybe even Beyonce might even consider what Temi did to be greater. But in terms of value, enterprise value created, or wealth created, wealth extracted from the value created, monetary value to what both people did during this period, I would imagine that Beyonce generated several more hundreds of millions of dollars than Temi. And which means that the world, the system, the economic system, and just the way markets work, value Beyonce, value what she did. The markets value Beyonce and what she did, in a sense, greater than what the founder of Life Bank did. Likewise, or maybe not likewise, but back to the other analogy, we at Decagon, so I'm part of Decagon, we train software engineers. Of course, when COVID started, we had to shut down and let everybody go home. But we used that opportunity to build a larger facility to be able to provide everybody accommodation. So we built a facility that, or we set up a facility that can accommodate 250 people simultaneously. Before, our maximum was 70. We moved into a larger facility, and then we ran this very strict quarantine protocol, and we brought people in. We brought people under very strict protocols, and these people are people who want to launch careers in software engineering. Very merit-based program. They were 0.5% acceptance rate, but they had, their journey to launch their careers had been delayed. And so, at least for those 86 people or so that are in there now, they have sped up the journey to a new stage of their career where they can get jobs as software engineers because of the work that my team really at Decagon did. While Jurgen Klopp helped Liverpool to win the first Premiership title in I think 30 years. Of course, he has generated a whole bunch more cash. The markets have rewarded him much, much more. And for the 86 people that are in Decagon, of course, I am more valuable, perhaps, or Decagon is more valuable than Jurgen Klopp. But for the world, Jurgen Klopp is much more valuable. I spend all this time talking about this just to really drive home this equation about how value is measured, how value is created at scale. And so I said, okay, worth more, or whether that means success or greatness or money, depending on how you think about it. Whatever of that term, the point here is that it is typically a function, that's F, a function of the scale of impact, of value, or of service. And the two examples I used of Beyonce and Jürgen Klopp are intentional because they are non-tech industries that some tech people, of course, that were very serious people, we might look down and think that they're not being serious things. But because, being music, the industry Beyonce is in entertainment, music is super scalable. That Beyonce album probably had a billion people listen to it within, I don't know the exact number, but within a week, a day or two or three, probably a billion people. And so she was able to scale her impact almost instantly and generate joy or excitement or escape for about a billion people. Same thing for Jürgen Klopp, because football and sports is scalable through TV and all that stuff, and in the hearts of people, was able to create scaled impact. And so the point is really that greatness doesn't come, and this is where the whole Conquer Yourself starts to connect. Greatness doesn't really come from just what you want. Primarily, it is to the degree that you scale impact. And impact is not you that really determines impact. Or it's not you that, yes, it's not you that determines impact. It is the people that are impacted. It is not you that determines impact. It is the people that are served. And so it starts to make clear that greatness and really building doesn't start from what's inside you or what you want. It starts from what other people want. And to the degree that you can scale that up, but when you say that starts from scale what somebody else wants. And I'll go a little bit more into that, but let's come to tech and look at, I talk about how markets reward greatness, or how markets rewards value creation. And this is a list, according to Bloomberg, of who is worth the most, who are the greatest people as far as the market is concerned, meaning the financial markets. And these are the 10 greatest people, if we should say that, from monetary standpoint. And the reason why monetary standpoint is important is because it's a way of, that's why money was created in the first place, right? It's a neutral exchange of value. So, you can argue about who is greater all day long, but the market determines that what certain people have done is greater than what other people have done based on what the market, and to the degree that we accept that as a neutral measure. Anyway, the point is that of the 10 greatest people, according to the market, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them are from tech. 7 of the greatest value creators that have been able to create value and capture, because this is not the value of their companies, this is they themselves worth. So have been able to create and capture that value. 7 out of 10 of them are tech people. So it is not musicians, it is not sports people that have an advantage in this phase in history, in this phase in time. There's something about being in tech that gives you access to the multiplier of impact, the multiplier of scale of service. And so that is to really bring it home to us that, number one, we, in conquering, for the purpose for which we're conquering ourselves, can be of, we have the opportunity, by the time that we have the opportunity to really scale the outcomes, just because most of us are from a tech background. And so, to the point I was coming back to that earlier point, in terms of where, what is success and how does the world value success and how does one become successful? And I put this equation, it's a little bit clumsy to read, but the equation is that success, of course, starts from knowing what my name is Chika, people call me CN. So CN, what do I want? When I know what I want, then the next thing is knowing what the people who have that thing that I want, what do they want, right? Because if I know what I want and I don't have that thing, I must have to get it from somewhere else. So let's say right now, at this phase of my life, there are, I think, I would say two things that I want. One is to help to transform Nigeria into a top 10 software engineering country. That means that I need to train engineers, but training engineers it doesn't amount to anything if they don't have access to jobs. So I need jobs. I need to aggregate the world's jobs for software engineers and make them available to Nigeria. So that's what I want. Now, knowing what I want, the next step is knowing what those who have what I want, what do they want? And even in starting this company, Decagon, for the last almost 2 years, I would always, whenever I speak, I would speak about the impact that I'm making on brilliant young Nigerians. I'll talk about how 70% of the people who came to Decagon have been unemployed for 2 years, and the 30% that had been employed had, I was just reading because I'm very passionate about it. So we're talking about the impact, changing people's lives, and just all the stories about the things that are inside my heart, the things that I care about, things that drive, the things that I'm passionate about. And then I realized that so the guy who has the jobs, the VP of engineering of a company in New York, may or may not care. That's not what he's thinking about. That's not what he wants. That's not what he cares about. Or that's not necessarily what he cares about. That's not why he's going to give me what I want. And so to the degree that I can just conquer myself, put down my thing, suspend it, and put myself in his shoes and try and look at life and look at his needs and really reorient and re-engineer my thinking to think about what he wants or what she wants, that person that has what I want, then I haven't started. So to the degree that I can figure out what they want, right? Then figure out how to give it to them. Then I've created value. Then I have had an impact. Then the question is, to what degree can I scale that impact? But I find myself as a passionate entrepreneur, a passionate innovator, always often falling into the trap. When I look at the first 10 years of my career, I was the founder, the innovator of many really cool things. First time somebody accessed internet on a mobile phone in Nigeria was myself and my team almost 20 years ago. First mobile banking, first this, first that. But all those things were driven by my passion to serve myself and my inclination for pioneering things, my drive for pioneering things. So I was serving myself, and the market was rewarding me only minimally. I wasn't getting. I made a lot of success, but not of the scale that I probably would have made if I had really figured out what does the market want, what do people want, the people who have what I want, what do they want, and if I could really think about that. So, so success is knowing what I want, see if I don't have what I want already, then knowing what those who have it want, figuring out how to give it to them, then figuring out how to collect from them what I want. So let's say it's money, creating value for them, and then figuring out how to capture some of that value. And all those guys, those 10 people, then Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, they figured out what, billions of people in the world want. They figured out how to give it to them. So they forgot it wasn't about what they wanted, it was what the billions of people in the world want. They figured out how to give it to them. They figured out how to get back from them money, right? And so on, or data, or whatever it is that they wanted. So just back to our earlier game of who is greater, between the two on the left and the two on the right. These are two partners in who use tech, two Nigerian youth partners who use tech to get what they want, assuming that what they want is money. And of course, I don't know if you guys know who these are. These are the founders of Paystack. And this, so this is Shola and Ezra, co-founders of Paystack. And this is Hush Puppy and his friend, I've forgotten his friend's name. They are fraudsters. They were very famous on Instagram and they recently got arrested. And I just put that up there to, in partly in humor, to see who you guys would say consider to be greater. Of course, at least in my book, Shola and Ezra are greater. They've created, millions of dollars in value. But how does it relate to the earlier point? The part in orange, knowing what people who have, let's say, money want and giving it to them. When you take that part out, that orange part is actually service. That's actually what service is. Service is knowing what your customer wants and giving it to them. That's service. So when you take away service and value creation from this equation, you get success is knowing what I want and collecting it. Knowing what I want and collecting it. And that's what the Hush Puppy did using tech. He knew what he wanted money, and he collected it without giving value. So typically, when you do that, you typically end up in trouble. It's unsustainable. So the only sustainable way, this orange is the only sustainable way to success, is service. That's the point of all this equation, is that service, and service starts from other, right? And really studying, like figuring out somebody that has a problem, a persona. That's what a market is. A market is an aggregation of people with a problem. That's what it's a market, an aggregation of people with a problem. And understanding that aggregation of people with a problem and figuring out how to use tech to solve it is what is value creation, is what leads to greatness. If you study history, whether it is business greatness, religious greatness, sports greatness, it all boils down to that equation of figuring out what an aggregation of people want and figuring out how to give it to them. So greatness inevitably starts from not thinking about what you want, although you have to understand what you want, but starts from the real journey to greatness starts from identifying people that have something that they want and figuring out how to give it to them. So coming to tech, and this is, I don't know if you guys can see this. This is I found this on the internet. It's like, just talks about the different, these are the sort of some of the personas in tech. They're developers, designers, and project managers. And I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is a developer. A developer sees himself or herself as a very serious person, as a scientist doing important things. But a designer sees a developer. A designer sees a developer, this box, as a big baby playing with toys. And a project manager sees a developer as a factory worker with no thinking faculty, just to be given requirements to just go and do stuff. And so on. So it stays here, designers see themselves as Steve Jobs, that are super creative or super innovative, but developers see designers as babies playing with paint, just doing nonsense. And project managers see them as, craftsmen that are not that important. And then project managers see themselves as presidents. They are the ones in charge. These are the presidents of America, Obama, Bush, and all those guys. So that project managers see themselves as very, very important and, presiding over everybody else in the tech team. And developers see them as people that don't do any work, just put their foot up on the table. So I thought it was funny. I thought it just illustrates how there is, within tech and within innovation, there's sort of a dysfunction in teams. And, I think that as tech professionals and as builders, really being able to organize our teams and for everybody to really align, not on what we see ourselves and what we see each other, but really aligning on the customer. So, then I thought, just spend the last few minutes just talking about this whole question of what do people want? Because I think the real thing is that, the most successful people are those people who end up really knowing what people want. Many of you that have been developers, I don't know if you've ever been given a project, spent 3 months or 3 weeks working on it, and when you give it to the person, to the customer, you say, but this is not what I wanted now. And you are frustrated, they are frustrated, everybody's angry. 50% of software projects everywhere in the world, about 50% fail, and at the end, everywhere scatters. And so, and the difference is just that whole thing of like knowing what people want. So there are 3 reasons why we tend to not know what people want, why we're not able to serve. Because if you don't know what the customer wants, then you can't serve the customer. You end up with something that is not what the customer wants. So there are 3 reasons. One is that we don't care actually what people want. We just care about ourselves and want to just do our cool thing. Like when I first started out, I just care about being the first to do this new thing, and I wasn't really thinking about what people wanted. So that's one. Or number 2 is that people actually don't know what they want, right? And that's where, because the reason why they don't know what they want is because they don't know what is possible, right? So that's where, for many people in tech, Steve Jobs is a hero. They say, oh, well, Steve Jobs said, don't ask people what they want, like figure it out. And there's a lot of truth to that. Because we are the ones who knows what's possible in tech, so we figure it out. But that figuring out, I think we often make the mistake of figuring out just by sitting by ourselves, as opposed to going and observing them and spending time with them and empathizing. You just rush through. They don't know what we want, but then they don't know what they want. But then that's where we can serve them even more by bringing out from them through a series of tools. Typically, design thinking is design thinking is the body of knowledge that now more and more talks about what helping people to figure out or helping to determine what people really want, what will really solve people's problem, even if they don't know. And then the third is that they know, but they don't know how to tell us what they want. They don't know how to describe it, because communication is challenging. They think they've told us, but there's a big gap. And that's where in tech, there's a whole field. Nowadays, sort of people think about it as product management, but as engineers, when I was in university, I studied computer science, they taught us requirements engineering, and in my master's program as well. Requirements engineering is the whole field of software engineering or software development or computer science that has to do with understanding how to extract what the customer wants from the customer. So I think it's something that, in order to know how to serve the customer well, is something that we have to really master. So let me skip this. So just because I think I'm over time, most successful tech professionals, those who are really going to be great, get good at really understanding what the stakeholders want and need so they can give it to them. That's what I want to leave you with. That the main skill, right, that you have to achieve is that being really good at not thinking about yourself, but thinking about what a particular segment of a population that you can access, what they want, and then figuring out how to scale serving them. And just to close, on how that has translated in the life of one company, in the life of Microsoft. Microsoft the founder was Bill Gates, and he created a lot of value for Microsoft. This is the stock price of Microsoft when he was CEO. Then he handed over to Steve Ballmer. Microsoft stock tanked and did very badly. And then they handed over to a guy called Satya Nadella, and the stock has risen back even above the highest points when Bill Gates was running the company. Satya Nadella, who's an engineer, a tech person, he wrote a book called Hit Refresh, but he built his whole leadership at Microsoft around the philosophy of empathy. And these are some of his quotes. The key to everything is empathy, because nothing is more effective and fruitful. Our core business is connected with the customer's needs, and we will not be able to satisfy them if we don't have a deep sense of empathy. The most important lesson that Nadella says he has learned is the capacity to listen. Listen more, talk less, keep quiet. It's not about what you know, what you have, what you want, what you like, what you care about, because you can build, you can rush and hit the laptop and start building. Be quiet and listen, observe, and really look for the opportunity to serve at scale. And to the degree that you're able to keep quiet, conquer yourself, conquer your passions, and listen and watch and learn and understand what they want. That is to the degree that you will be able to achieve greatness. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the amazing session. I have a question here from YouTube. So Zainab is asking, does conquering yourself necessarily mean you have to change your character?
Well, I think so to some extent. Absolutely. I mean, I think growth is about character change. It depends on what dimension of your character you mean, though. But typically, because your character is who you are. So I'll tell you something. One way I think about it is that, you see, all that I have, all that I've been able to achieve now, is a function of, outside. That's what is outside, what is the state of the market, and who I am. I can't control the state of the market. What I can control is who I am. So the current level of achievement that I have now is the current level of achievement that my current character can deliver. So for me to go to another level, for me to achieve what we call a quantum leap of greatness, is not the CN that you're looking at now. The CN that's me, that of 2019 has achieved what CN of 2019 can achieve. If you leave that CN, I'll keep achieving around the same level. But if I want to get to another level of achievement, then there are certain things about that CN that have to change. And that is part of conquering myself, is that I have to change certain elements of who I am in order to produce something else. So I do think that you have to change some elements of who you are. But there are some elements of who you are that you should not change. And I think we can have a whole talk about what elements should you change and what should you not change. But if you reflect, you listen to people and get feedback from people, you can understand the elements of your character that are not helpful, that are blocking your attainment of the next level. And so those elements of your character certainly must change. I think so. And it's not easy.
Yeah, great answer. Someone from Facebook is asking that, do you face creative block or burnout? And when you do, what do you do when that happens?
Yes, absolutely. I face creative block and I face burnout. And now, as I getting older, or as I have more things going on now, that happens more, maybe because of a lot of mental switching. But some of the, I think it's very important. Rest is very, very important. But I think even more important than rest actually is focus. This is something that I think it's very important. This is something that for majority of my professional career, I have not respected the power of focus. And I've often tried to do multiple things at the same time. I ran incubators, ran accelerators, invested in many companies, doing different things at the same time. And that in retrospect, has contributed to burnout and block more than anything else. And now I'm very much an advocate of focusing, of like finding among the things that amongst the opportunities that I have, figuring out the one that I care about the most, or the one that I feel will have the greatest impact, and prioritizing and doing that first, and suspending the other things. No, and in the past, you know, I used to feel like, oh, but I like this as well. I like this as well. It's very important. I can't kill that. But now I've learned that it's not killing it. It's just putting it aside and focusing on the one thing that, when I succeed with it, will probably even make the other things easier. So that is the way that I've been able to manage burnout and block better, by focusing. When I'm in the zone, when I'm chasing one thing, like now, you know, I committed to myself that for a decade, I'm going to chase this goal of helping Nigeria to be a top 10 software engineering country. This is what I think about morning and night, and I tend not to burn out. I tend not to get blocked. I keep going because I'm in the zone. Like as a coder, when you're in the zone, when you're focused on your code, and you know, you enter the zone. So focus has really helped me to reduce my burnout and reduce my blockers. And you know,
all right. Amazing answers. So focus, rest, very important and key for productivity and then for burnout. Thank you very much for joining us today, CN. Because I'm going to have to rewatch the session so I can digest the nugget once again. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks. Well done, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you. So to our viewers, please do not forget to tweet your learnings and tag us. You can tag Chika at Chika and Wobi, and then you can tag us at KWARABUILD with the hashtag KBTC 2020. Thank you so much for joining us for a wonderful conference. It is the final thing will just be the appreciation from the KWARABUILD team on the success of the event. Thank you so much for joining. It was a great experience sharing this, even though virtually. All the replays of all the sessions are available on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you very much.